Think about the last big decision you made. You likely weighed the options and made a rational choice, but often the conclusion you reached was actually planted there by someone else. Take Arav. He's logical and careful, yet over the course of a few years, his savings were drained, his career stalled, and his emotional stability collapsed. He agreed to every single step of it because he didn't realize he was being moved. Dark psychology functions as a calculated hack of the basic vulnerabilities wired into human nature. It bypasses conscious logic by targeting the subconscious instincts we use to navigate trust and safety. Resisting this influence requires understanding how the trap is built. This diagram represents the three-step architecture manipulators use to systematically override free will: infiltration, destabilization, and total capture. This process relies on a predictable, scientific model of escalation. By learning these mechanics, you can spot the warning signs before the final lock is engaged. The first phase is infiltration. Effective manipulators avoid making immediate demands. Instead, they bypass your initial suspicion by offering concentrated doses of validation and attention. They employ lovebombing, showering you with constant praise, and mirroring, where they artificially adopt your specific hobbies and opinions. This creates the sensation of a profound, once-in-a-lifetime connection. When you receive intense validation, your brain floods its neural pathways with dopamine, creating a biological dependency. While emotionally distracted, they activate the reciprocity principle. Small, unsolicited favors build a mounting social debt, making it difficult to say no later. Humans are evolutionarily wired to repay favors to maintain social balance. Manipulators weaponize this instinct, turning minor helpful gestures into a tool for future compliance. This phase functions as a velvet trap. It disguises control as extreme empathy, leaving you emotionally compromised and ready for the next shift in behavior. Once the manipulator is inside your defenses, they begin phase 2, destabilization. The goal is to systematically remove the solid ground beneath your feet. Through gaslighting, they deny past conversations or shift the blame for their errors onto you. Over months, you begin to doubt your own memory and professional competence. If you attempt to push back, they use the silent treatment. By suddenly withdrawing communication, they force you into a state of intense anxiety, pushing you to apologize for things you didn't do just to end the isolation. The pain of being ignored is literal. Brain scans show that the neurological response to prolonged social rejection is identical to a physical strike. To your body, silence is an injury. They supplement this with guilt tripping, turning your own moral compass against you. You become so focused on proving you are a good person that you stop questioning their behavior. Destabilization shatters your self-trust. You become dependent on the manipulator to define what is real and what is true. With your reality fractured, the manipulator enters phase 3, total capture. This is where they force decisive action and seal the exits. They trigger scarcity and fear. By manufacturing artificial deadlines or threatening losses, they provoke a panic response that bypasses logic and forces rushed, self-sabotaging decisions. They use social proof and authority to manufacture a sense of safety. When you see a crowd or an influential figure endorsing them, your instinct to follow the herd often blinds you to obvious risks. Finally, they deploy the most dangerous tactic: isolation. They slowly convince you that your friends are jealous or that your family doesn't support your progress. Isolation is a strategic necessity. By severing your ties to the outside world, they remove the external perspectives that could point out the deception. Total capture creates a psychological echo chamber where the manipulator's voice is the only remaining source of truth. Arav eventually recovered his autonomy when he realized his empathy was not a weakness, but a point of access that had been exploited. Identifying the specific tactic being used, whether it's gaslighting or false scarcity, strips away the manipulator's invisibility. Once the mechanism is exposed, your emotional response is no longer automatic, allowing your logic to re-engage. The most effective defense against this influence is the pause. This involves separating verifiable facts from emotional pressure. You must explicitly refuse to make immediate decisions and instead consult an external support network that the manipulator has tried to discredit. Mastering emotional self-awareness allows you to identify external pressure in real time, preventing you from falling into the same neurological traps. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Objective awareness is the only defense that cannot be bypassed. Once you see the strings, you can no longer be moved by them.